podcast. I am so excited to be here with you all today. As you know, we constantly bring in some hitters, okay? Some hitters. So when it comes down to educating businesses on how to get into this space, who better to get the information from than the procurement professionals, okay? So today we have John joining us from the city of Virginia Beach. John, thank you so much for being here. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much for inviting me. I'm excited to have the opportunity to talk with you and hopefully maybe some of the audience out there, maybe they can find something to take back and learn.
Absolutely. And we're gonna like start in on that piece of it and just kind of really get a better understanding of who you are. So could you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Sure. So, like a lot of folks, I kind of fell into public procurement a few years ago. So, around 2017, 2018, I got a master's degree. I'd always wanted to be a public servant, right? And so I was in retail management for a while and did some other things and went back to school to get my master's degree. And then right as I got that, I went and I got my first job in the public sector, and it was dealing with grants and contracts. And then from there, I just kind of fell into procurement. I got into a procurement role, and I've been there ever since. So I've been in procurement management now for the last few years in different states, different organizations, and I love it. It's a fun job. It's something new every day. So it's awesome.
So stepping into this role of procurement from, the experience that you had previously, what was that like? Like the falling into the procurement side of it?
Um, I mean, it was unexpected, but I just had to learn so much at once, because I had never done anything like that before.
Absolutely.
But it was so cool. Like once I kind of got into it, I couldn't learn enough, and it was just, like I said, it's something new every day. I mean, just on my slate of a typical day, I might be talking about something IT related in the morning, and then there's a construction project that we're doing at 10. And then after lunch, it's, we're buying trucks for our fleet department or something. It's just so many different things in a day. It just keeps you so engaged in learning. And that's what I love to do. So
And this is another piece. So can you tell us a little bit about your role with the city of Virginia Beach and what that entails?
sure. So I currently serve as the assistant purchasing agent for the city. And so my role is to support the purchasing agent for the city, and we're responsible to procure everything that a city might need. So what I usually tell folks is, if you are walking down the street and you pass a public park, somebody procured the playground.
Mm,
Somebody procured the sidewalk that you're walking on. An ambulance rolls by. Well, somebody bought that ambulance. So everything, all the infrastructure that our residents enjoy, if some procurement agent is behind that, doing that job, right, of buying that. And so we have a staff here of about 15 procurement professionals. And then we also have, as part of our procurement team, what we call our SWAM business office. And so SWAM is an acronym here in Virginia specifically that means small woman and minority owned business.
okay.
And so we have a team that's part of our procurement team that just is dedicated to helping those businesses be successful as well.
So that was another question that I had. So we can kind of step into that a little bit as
Okay.
well. So what does a SWAM, like, is that a small business certification program? And, are there any set aside? How does the SWAM program work with the city of Virginia Beach?
Sure. So I could probably spend 30 or 40 minutes just talking about it. We have an amazing SWAM business program here at the city.
Okay.
And it really started about 20 years ago. But I won't go all the way back to that ancient history. I'll just say that, we have an office of city staff, 3 or 4 staff members, and they're dedicated to helping those SWAM businesses succeed in this area. We also have a minority business council, which
Okay.
is a group of business owners, minority and women-owned, mostly business owners in the city. They're appointed by city council to advise city council on how they can assist with creating opportunities for SWAM businesses in Virginia Beach.
Okay.
And so the Minority Business Council and our SWAM business office kind of work together, right? The SWAM business office is like the staff arm, city staff arm of the Minority Business Council, who's volunteers essentially, right? So, but as far as certification here in Virginia, it just depends on where you go, right? And so that's one thing that I would say, maybe if you have some audience members that are MWBE businesses or SWAM businesses, Every agency is going to be a little different, right? So
Okay.
you have to figure out, like for the city of Virginia Beach, we actually use a state certification. So the state of Virginia has a SWAM certification, and we use that to say, hey, you're an official, SWAM certified, validated business.
Got it.
But like City of Richmond here in Virginia, they have their own certification program. So if you're interested in doing business with the City of Richmond, you have to know, like, hey, they have their own certification program. In Virginia Beach, it's different. We use the states, right? So it's just different wherever you go.
Got it. It's basically you accept the MBE certification, like the Minority Business Supplier Development Council. You accept certifications, but you don't have a certification program. What
Right.
about the certifications from the SBA? Like if a business is already certified with the SBA, is woman-owned, minority, veteran, any of those?
So we don't, the only certification right now that we accept is that Virginia certification
Okay.
currently. So again, like everywhere is going to be different. Some agencies might accept the federal, like DBE certification, and then they might have their own program. When I was in St. Louis County, Missouri, we accepted the state certification program, and then we also accepted the city of St. Louis's certification program. So it's just different wherever you go. You just have to kind of know the rules for who you're trying to do business with, right?
Perfect. So anyone who's listening or tuned in on the YouTube, hey, welcome, welcome. So I've already started dropping the links into the chat. You can go ahead and go to them, and we're going to kind of dive a little bit deeper into some of these small business programs, because I noticed before we got off the call, we talked about some upcoming events. So that was also a part of my next question. Are there any upcoming events or trainings that the city of Virginia Beach provides to small businesses to help them understand how to navigate their procurement process?
Absolutely. This is one thing that the Minority Business Council for the city and our SWAM business office, they partner. And we have so many opportunities for SWAM businesses in the Hampton Roads metro area to learn more about how to do business with the city of Virginia Beach, as well as how to network with each other and find connections, just with each other and then within the region. And so we have an event coming up in November, for example. It's one of our bigger events of the year. It's the Minority Business Council's Fall Expo.
Okay.
And so this expo event, we invite SWAM suppliers from all over the region, all over the state to come. We have 35 departments here at the city. So a lot of those bigger departments, they come and they set up booths. We invite all the other local governments in the area. So there's a lot of cities that are around Virginia Beach. There's school districts. There's sanitation districts. There's universities. So we invite all of them to come and also set up tables. And then there's some programming as well, for SWAM businesses to attend if they choose to do so. But really, it's about that time to network and meet all of the leaders from the different cities and different, the procurement departments. And it's one of our bigger events. We usually have, before COVID, it was a little bigger. After COVID, in-person events kind of
Life
went
change.
down a little bit. But we usually have at least a couple hundred folks that register and attend. And it's a great time. It's always fun to meet and learn more about all the different businesses that are, in the area. So if anybody is listening and they're in the Hampton Roads area, or maybe even in Virginia, please register and come to the event. We'd love to meet you and see you there.
Absolutely. I think that's an open invite for the
Yes.
entire DMV area at this point, right?
Right.
But I love these style events. Like one of the biggest components that you mentioned is getting in front of different agencies, from the cities to universities, having all of those procurement professionals and being able to introduce yourself and your business in one space. Like that's a big deal that you all are putting on that type of event.
And it does lead to opportunities. I mean, I've had situations where, I collect the business cards from those events, and we'll have a bid. Like recently, we had a bid that went out for pressure washing. Well, I remembered that at one of these events, I had met a SWAM business that does pressure washing. And so I was flipping through my cards, and I had the business card, and I was like, went to the procurement officer. I was like, here, make sure they get a notification, right?
Wow.
That they have an opportunity for this. So, I mean, it does lead to to at least opportunities, right?
Yeah.
Which is about all you can ask for. So
That's a big deal.
yeah.
That's the most ideal outcome from attending of an event like this. So you also mentioned one piece that I had on my list. You keep answering my questions before
Oh,
I,
I'm sorry.
okay. But this next piece is about actually like the procurement process within itself. And you mentioned that the city of Virginia Beach has 35 departments.
Yep. So we have about 35 departments. I think, of course, some of those are bigger than others. We have some departments that are just kind of one little team, maybe. But, because they're in the city charter, they're a department. But then, like, our public works department is huge. It has thousands of employees, right? So our public works department alone is probably bigger than some city and town governments, across the state. So
That's a big
some pretty
deal.
big business units.
Okay, I'm gonna pull a list of all of the different departments and divisions and drop that in the chat as
Okay.
well. Can we talk about budget? Like, what does spend look like with the city of Virginia Beach?
So the city has about a $2.6 billion budget. Now, that includes the school district, which is kind of a separate political entity for all purposes except for budget. So the city itself, city proper, really is around 1.6 billion.
Okay.
The other one kind of going to the school district. So that's a pretty significant chunk, split among those 35 departments. And of course, a lot of that is tied up in personnel costs and things like that. So I think typically what we're seeing, if we look at purchase orders that are issued during a fiscal year, is around $500 to $600 million of spend.
Wow.
Every
And
year.
the
So
purchasing costs, 5 to 6 million, 600 million.
yeah. So that includes some capital funds and stuff too, of course, but um, still a lot of opportunity there. Think about, so we have some aspirational goals to hit. And I think the goal is like 12% for minority owned business spend and 13.3 for women. So that's, you do the math on that, that's around 100 to 150 million a year that we're trying to at least spend with those businesses every year. So
Yeah, that's great to have that goal. I do have a question, like it's a piggyback question
okay, okay.
on top of that one. So when it comes down to those goals, how do you typically count towards those? Are those only counted based on those massive contracts, or do they also count based on like the micro purchases as
Mhm.
well? Which
Yep,
is
it's
my next question.
yeah, it's the total spend
Total
across
spend. Okay,
everything. Yep.
got it. Now that brings us to our next question. What are the cities of Virginia Beach current procurement thresholds?
So this gets a little complicated, but I'll try to make it simple. So right now, our small purchase threshold is $5,000. So those 35 city departments that are out there, if they decide they need to replace some windows or something and it's $3,000, they can just go out and have that done. And we really don't get involved in the procurement office. Now, there is some guidance that's out there that says, hey, we're going to give you this authority under $5,000, but in exchange, there's a string attached. We want you to go out and check and see if there's a SWAM certified business that can do that first.
Okay.
So we don't police that really, but that is the guidance that's out there. And we do get a lot of spend based on that policy.
Oh, that's perfect.
In addition to that, one thing that we did a couple of years ago that has been really impressive is we actually raised that $5,000 to $30,000 if they can find a SWAM certified business. So,
Oh,
if they need some $20,000 of work done and they can find a SWAM business to do it, we don't even make them go through any kind of other, competitive process. It's just like a small purchase to us if it's that much, and they found a SWAM business to do it. So that has been really impactful. So I think the last time I checked the numbers, which was in the spring, I think for last fiscal year, we had done about $2.5 million through under $30,000 with SWAM certified companies. So that's a lot of like $12,000 and
small
$16,000
purchases.
purchases, but
That
it
it
adds
does
up.
add up.
Yep.
Nice. Okay. So, and that's going directly to the departments and being able to support whatever their needs are.
Right.
Up to 5,000. If they are SWAM certified, it can go as high as
As high
30,000.
as 30. Yep. And so between five and $100,000 is our formal threshold. And so Under 100,000, we do have some more informal things we can do where departments can either go get quotes, and again, they're mandated to get quotes from SWAM businesses if they do that, or we can issue in our office a request for quotes where and it's kind of an informal process because to a city the size of Virginia Beach, I know $100,000 is a lot of money to me, but we're doing multi-million dollar procurements, so $100,000 is not it's our informal below that. So once we get to that formal threshold, that's when our formal procurement processes kick in, and we're either looking to do an invitation to bid or request for proposal, and those are like your formal sealed. Everything's got to be very formulaic, follow a very specific process for those purchases. So,
Got it. Okay. So in can we hit on it a little bit, but the informal process, you said that goes up from 30 to 100,000, and then
correct.
anything beyond 100,000 has to go to actual formal solicitation.
Right.
Hmm, Okay. That's nice to know. And when it comes down to the actual procurement process, how does a business begin to engage as a supplier? Yeah, what are the first steps?
I think the first steps are, you have to know who your target market is. And so is it City of Virginia Beach? Is it all the municipalities in Hampton Roads or, in your metro area? Is it any city? Like you have to figure out who it is you're exactly trying to do business with. Because like I kind of mentioned earlier, everybody's going to have different rules. And so you're going to have to kind of be strategic about like, okay, maybe you take it a week at a time. This week, I'm going to focus on learning about Virginia Beach, right? And then maybe the next week is Newport News. And the week after that is Hampton, right? Because everybody's going to have slightly different rules, different thresholds, different ways to engage and register for notifications for bids and things like that. So like with the City of Virginia Beach, what I would always tell everybody is please go register. Go to virginiabeach.gov/supplier, and there's a place to register to do business with the city. And so that will ensure you get notifications, right, when we release bids or RFPs or things like that. So that's kind of always the first step to take.
So register as a supplier. Listen, if I'm already dropping links in the chat. Register as a supplier. Now, here's another question that we get very frequently. What if a business is located outside of Virginia Beach or the Hampton Roads area? Can they still do business with the city?
Absolutely. We do business with, it doesn't really matter where you're located unless, there are certain services where we might say, hey, we really need somebody local, vehicle repair. We really don't want to tow a car all the way to Lynchburg, to repair it. So we're probably going to have a specification that we find somebody more local to do that. But by and large, we'll do business with you no matter where you're located. So even if you're halfway across the state, if you're ever interested in and you have the bandwidth to come to Virginia Beach, right? Like you have to know your business and your capacity. Then absolutely we would welcome that. We want as much competition and as much opportunity as possible. That's what we're all about. So.
Nice. I love it. I love it. And this is another piece. Does the city of Virginia Beach have any prompt payments or incentive programs to support small businesses getting paid in a timely fashion?
That's a great question. So we don't currently have anything in place for that. Now, there are some state mandates in Virginia for prompt payment of contractors. So it basically says that the law says you have to pay by the payment due date or 45 days, whichever one, or if it's specified in the contract, right, that you have to pay. So we're bound to that. I do think it's a great idea. We actually are going through a disparity study revision right now. And so that's something I'm actually going to suggest, I think, to those folks is like, hey, what can we do around this? Is there something that's worked somewhere else that, might be good for our SWAM business community? So yeah, I like that.
You know what? Thank you. I appreciate that. Call it the ShaKeia Act.
There you go. Okay.
I'm just kidding. But yeah, no, I really appreciate that. This is my final question, and it is specific to small businesses that are tuning in and listening. John, do you have any parting notes of wisdom that you would like to leave with the businesses tuning in right now?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing that I see sometimes with especially small businesses that are trying to start in the very beginning of doing business with the government is, and we've talked about it before, ShaKeia, is you really have to scrutinize those bid documents, those RFP documents, and see what is required and make sure you comply with that. I've gotten proposals before from small businesses where they just like attach their one pager. Like that's great information, but that's not what we asked for, right? We asked for specifically some qualifications and some experience, requirements that we wanted to know more about. So we're kind of bound. We can't really consider that as a response, right? Because you didn't give us what we asked for. So really taking the opportunity to scrutinize what exactly is required and make sure you comply with that. And if some people aren't good at that, and nobody's good at everything. And especially if you're a small business owner, your HR, your marketing, your everything sometimes, right? And so
Yeah.
that's where that networking really comes in handy, because maybe you go have lunch with one of your associates, one of your colleagues from another business, and you say, "Hey, will you look at this for me? Help me kind of figure out what it is they're asking for." So that could be a strategy that you take. We're kind of limited in the help we can give because it's a competitive process. So we can't really just help, businesses while we're in the middle of that process. So there are also classes that specific to City of Virginia Beach that we offer. So we offer webinars on how to do business with the City of Virginia Beach, and they're rotating. So just about every week we have a webinar going on, how to do business with the City of Virginia Beach. So, and I'm sure other cities do the same. So look for those resources. They might be available to you and leverage those.
You just mentioned something, John, so I can't let you off the hook that fast. You said webinars. Where can we sign up for the webinars or for a newsletter to get more information about how to do business with the city?
Sure. So we have a link that you can go to. It's virginiabeach.gov/SWAM. So SWAM. And that will take you to our SWAM business office webpage. And they have a listing of all the events they have coming up. They have a bunch of programs that I couldn't get into, but including those webinars that are educational, as well as the Fall Expo. There's a place to register for that. And then some other programs that we have. We just started, and I'm sorry, I don't want to monopolize time, but this was just recently approved and we're excited about it. There's a small business grant program that was just started. So there's information about that there for micro businesses in the Virginia Beach area. So
nice.
some
So
great opportunities there at virginiabeach.gov/SWAM.
And now we talked about the grant program. Do you have to be SWAM certified in order to get the grant?
I'm not sure if you have to be certified. You do have to be, I believe you do have to be certified as a micro business, which is 25 or fewer employees, and minority, women, small, service disabled, veteran, are all categories I think that fall into that micro business category.
Got it. So this is would the application be with the Hive Resource Center, maybe?
So the Hive Resource Center is a city facility. So the application is with probably either the Minority Business Council or our SWAM business office, because like I said, they kind of work hand in hand. But the Hive Resource Center is another thing, and I'll apologize. I'll pitch our SWAM programs any day of the week. But we have a resource at Town Center in Virginia Beach for SWAM businesses to utilize called the Hive.
Wow.
And we have a representative from the state Department of Small Business and Supplier Diversity that comes there, and she's there a few days a week. We have a bank that is a great bank to do business with here in the community that comes and talks to SWAM businesses about funding opportunities and kind of how to leverage those opportunities to get some funding for your business. So, and there's conference space, so it's a space dedicated to SWAM businesses, and so that's what the Hive is. Since you mentioned it, I'll throw
You know what? You are holding out on us, John. You didn't tell me all of this. So the Hive is a space where businesses can go and basically work out of.
A business plan. Yep. They can work with those partners. Yep. We have programming there, every once in a while. The Minority Business Council meets there once a month. And that's a public meeting that we invite SWAM businesses to come to as well. So it's a great space and a great resource for our SWAM business community.
Nice. Okay, so I dropped that in the chat.
Okay.
The event, the grant. I have a few friends that are in Virginia Beach. So I'm gonna make sure I
Awesome.
send that grant to them immediately.
Good.
Um, and then on the other side, you mentioned something during the final piece, and I wanted to ask. This was another question. I promise this is the last one, John. I'll let you
Okay.
go. What is the best way for a business to market their services to the city?
So this is a little tricky, right? Because I'm just going to tell you, I probably get 30 marketing emails a day at least from, and look, I don't have time to read them all. It's a robo generated email, and I just clicking, and I go on to the next thing, right? So I would say
Thank you for the honesty. We appreciate
attending these events is really key, and meeting people one on one, and being able to supply the business card, a face to a name, and here's what I do, and I'm thinking, oh, we have a bid coming up for that, right? That's really one of the better ways to get in touch with these procurement folks. You can also come in and meet with us. Again, that can be a little challenging with schedules, but definitely uh, you can try that approach. And then also for cities like us that have a SWAM business office or like an MWBE type of office,
it.
uh, definitely they will meet with you any day of the week, right? And help you learn how to register as a supplier, how to do business with the agency, all of that. So I mean, they're dedicated to SWAM businesses, to MWBE businesses. So that's what they're all about. So that's a great resource to leverage too.
Okay. Thank you so much, John. It has been a pleasure. Thank you for taking out the time, coming in and sharing this information with us. I know someone already dropped in the chat. Great information. Someone said, "Oh, I have a question."
Okay. Okay.
Okay, this was the question about being in another state, incorporated in another state, and can you obtain the certification with Virginia Beach? So that was a
Yes. Yep. So you can be SWAM certified in Virginia, even if you're located in another state. So
there we go. There we have it.
I do believe that it's reciprocal as well. That they you might have to register and go through like an application process with SBSD, which is the state agency that manages the certification process. But I think it's like 30 some states are reciprocal to
Wow.
Virginia. So if you're certified in, and I don't want to name a state because I don't know what the 38 are, and I don't want to say the wrong one, but if North Carolina was one, and I'm not sure if they are, but
You know what? They are ironically in North Carolina. That is funny.
okay.
Okay.
So it might be reciprocal. It might be an easier process, than if you're going through it fresh the first time,
Okay.
So
All right. That's perfect. Thank you so much for that. Someone said yes. Thank you for answering that question. So, John, again, thank you for joining the podcast. This was our first interview, but it will not be our last. So, we will
great.
be reaching back to have you on the podcast to hear about all the exciting things that are going on in the city of Virginia Beach, especially when you get that prompt payment in there as
Yeah.
well. Let us
The
know so
ShaKeia
I
Act.
can make sure we shot. Yeah, the ShaKeia Act. I'm excited
Yep.
about that. But thank you, John. To everyone who's listening, don't forget to like, comment, and share this podcast episode with anyone in the Virginia Beach area, in the DMV in general. Like if they can get to Virginia in a matter of, hours, send it. Even if they can't, depending on what type of services they provide, definitely have them at the very least register because you never know what's going to come down the pipeline. And Virginia Beach is spending $2.6 billion. I hate to, say
Yeah.
it like that, but make sure you're tuning in to see what they have coming down the pipeline. And until next episode, I will see you all then. All right, peace.